Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from vacation still, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at Friday night, closing out the week here, Nate, with a little 8-game slate, I believe we've got for tonight. So a couple of things we're going to look at here. And this one, we are taking a look at Cleveland. They are in Golden State. Looking at a few things with the total there, I believe, but we'll get into all that here in just a minute. Like and subscribe to that page. Check out the other game video we have up for you guys tonight and our player props video that we bring you guys these each and every weekday of the regular season. Also, head to thelines.com. That's where we have our great written content for you guys. Nate's got his props and everything up there each and every weekday as well. Also have our great odds finder tool and all those articles. You can use that to go ahead and shop these lines and player props to the best of your ability across U.S. sportsbooks. Nate, let's get into these lines here for tonight and then talk all things Cavs and Dubs.
Yeah, first game on the slate, I'll definitely be interested in watching. I don't know where to bet on it, but the Nuggets right now, plus 4.5 at Boston. That spread growing a little bit. The total's shrinking to 230. Interesting there, the way Boston plays offense and not as much defense. Suns are -7 at Orlando. The Pistons +9 at the Knicks. That's a pretty big spread there. Bucks without Giannis or Drew, in addition to whoever they were missing already, +2.5 at the Spurs. Raptors without Pascal, -5.5 at Thunder. Wolves Grizzlies, that's another one to watch. Maybe not to bet, but +4 right now for Mini at Memphis. I think if that gets any smaller, I would take Memphis for sure. Then the games we're going to talk about are on the West Coast. We got Cavs +2.5 at Warriors. And then the other video, right now the Kings are -3 at the Lakers. It's fluctuated a bit. The spread here, pretty negligible, +2. I think it opened at, creeping up a little bit for the Cavs. The total actually got down to 228 for a minute. It's been bet up another point. And I would absolutely hammer it if you can get it at 228 or anywhere below 230, I think. The over is definitely in play when you have these two teams going up against each other, when you have two just absolutely transcendent scorers for this as the starting point here. I mean, because Darius Garland is also quickly reestablished himself as an absolute bucket. Karis LeVert can be hot and cold, but if he's hot, then the Cavs are going to light it up here against a really, really bad Warriors defense that maybe you could say some of that's skewed by their long road trip. They didn't play that well on the road. Well, they came home and they did not play well against Sacramento. Defensively, they allowed the Kings to get up 43s, 30 free throw attempts. Warriors are dead last in free throws allowed, and in their last 3 now, they're allowing 35 free throws a game. So Garland and Mitchell and LeVert should just be getting to the rim at will, getting to the line, or kicking out to open shooters. And this season, it's kind of an interesting reverse home road splits where usually the Dubs are lower scoring at home, slower at home. Not the case, right? At home this year, they're scoring 123 versus 112 on the road. Their pace goes up 6 possessions from 99 to 105. Their defense is a little bit better in terms of rating, but they're still giving up 117 per game. So that adds up to totals of 240 here. They opened the season with 4 of their first 5 at home. All of those went over. And their one roadie in there at Phoenix went over. And I bring that up because what's Phoenix got? They've got 2 elite scoring guards that can, come right back if Steph Curry goes nuts. And that's pretty much what we come to expect here. My notes here for the Warriors just open with bad defense and then Stephen Curry and all the amazing things he does. Is a first in offensive win shares, offensive box plus minus by a landslide here. 3rd in PER, despite being 2nd in points per game. And I think it's just like a situation where him and Mitchell should bring out the best in each other. I mean, they haven't necessarily gotten to shootouts when Donnie was on Utah lately. That's a completely different scheme and situation. And Donnie, now just really you see him coming out trying to dispel some of the narratives that is surrounded around him because he was associated with that sleepwalking Jazz team that would just win a bunch of regular season games and then just bow out, and people would say, "Oh, well, can Mitchell be the guy?" He's like averaging like 35 a game in the playoffs. Like, what do you want him to do? And now he's on like a legit loaded team and proving he can be the guy for sure. Alongside Garland, who's happy to defer, but then also take over when he needs to. Cavs are averaging the 7th most points per game, 2nd best 3-point percentage. They are 7-3 to the over right now since their opener. They're at the 5th game of a roadie here. So we can get into their home road splits later, but let's just say it again favors overs. And you look at their last 2 road games, they gave up 17 threes to the Clippers, including a late run to lose that game, 17 threes to the Kings, and 35 free throw attempts to the Kings. And they're allowing opponents to shoot 40% from 3 in their last 3 here on the road. So now you get the Warriors. So if you can't guard the 3-point line, you're going to be chasing points, and that's why I think both teams will be scoring a lot here.
Totally, man. You did great there. That was awesome. I really enjoyed that because there was some really good stuff there. I mean, it's all I don't. A lot of times we look at stuff, right? And we're always looking for like different stats. We're looking for angles, and we're usually just trying to sort of support a claim that we might make with solid evidence that supports it. But sometimes we have alternative thoughts where we're like, well, maybe, this could be misleading. I just feel like everything is so solid in what you just said. There's nothing that I could really chip away at, which is, right now at home, the Dubs are just a different team. 0-6 versus 4-1, right? Just start there. But then, like you said, when I asked you earlier, when we were talking about what we were going to discuss, I was like, the Cavs +2, right? Like the Cavs are a really good team. And when Curry doesn't score, close to 40 points, I don't know if the Dubs can beat good teams. And then I said, well, maybe there's some Dubs home road splits I need to look at real quick before we just say pick the Cavs as underdogs. And that's exactly the case, right? And they're not playing defense anywhere. So, it's worse on the road. And their offense is way, way better at home, but their defense is bad everywhere. 117 points given up at home. Obviously, when you play at 107 pace, that's going to impact it greatly. So the rating isn't quite as bad as maybe 117 points sounds when you're playing at 107 possessions in a game. But I guess for this one, I do think there's no way to me that offense isn't really just in coming in droves in this one. When you look at what both teams don't do well, and the fact that I think there's going to be also a good amount of points off of turnovers, there's going to be some sloppiness. Donnie, as good as he's been this season, he is diming up a bit more at about 6 a game, which is definitely the most he's ever had when he was on the Jazz. That was the most he would ever have is 6 a game in a season. That was one time, but it's this, also more than 3 turnovers, right? So it's all coming at the expense of trying to make things happen, having the ball in his hands for just not only the high usage rate, but he's playing 39 minutes a game in all 10 games. I believe he missed 1. So he's staying in there. And if he's going to have, even a usage rate at close to 30 or more, like he has been, while he's playing 39 minutes in a game, then yeah, all the stats for him and all the things that we'll probably talk about on player props, we got to continue looking at overs for him. And just the fact that he is now taken sort of the team has his identity, right, in terms of the way that it's scoring as well, the way that he's getting into the lane, but also the 3-point shooting increasing. It's odd to a degree that, there isn't better wing defense for them. But really, at the end of the day, when it's he and Garland on the floor, and then you've got Karis LeVert as your main ball handler coming in off the bench, not leading to much wing defense once again, that's not surprising either. So yeah, Dubs at home, man, like they're telling us how they're going to do things right now. Look, they're trying to get different guys into the lineup. You're seeing at least one, if not 2 of these youngsters between, guys like Moody and Kuminga and Wiseman, mainly those 3. One of 3 of them are getting 20 minutes in a game. They're making the statement that they're going to be playing these young guys and that they're okay allowing them to kind of come along and being middle of the pack right now, knowing that they still can sort of continue to make a run and sort of find their footing a little bit, as they get closer to the playoffs when it's time to grind. So it's right now I'm not scared of them. But yeah, to your the point that you made earlier, it's not like I really want to touch the spread here when I just feel really good about this game being close to 240, if not more.
Yeah, I mean, and you talk about playing those young guys and how bad that makes the second unit defensively for the Warriors, and then the Cavs can stagger those guys and continue to get buckets. And the starting unit just isn't playing good defense for the Warriors. I mean, we keep coming back to it, but it's a big freaking deal when Draymond Green could have shattered Jordan Poole's jaw, and now both those guys are kind of playing really poorly this year, and especially Draymond. His defensive rating the last four here is about 118, which is completely out of the norm for him. And the fact that the Warriors are giving up so many easy buckets. Such high percentage inside the arc, I believe the second highest, and all these free throw attempts, they're not connected. They're not on a string, which is what Draymond does as that leader, as the safety of the defense, if you will, keeping them connected and able to stop really good offensive teams. And they haven't even been able to stop pretty bad offensive teams. They're allowing the third most points overall and the third most points in the fourth quarter. So it's not like they're even necessarily closing you out. And then, Clay is not going to be the defensive stopper you need on Donnie Mitchell at all. So I think the way these teams trade punches and the way I again come back to the free throws, which is so key. If you're going to bet an over, you want to see the opportunity for a lot of free throws here for the time stop, and for points to be going up on the board here. I think it's just there's a lot of evidence here. I pretty much went over it, so I think we stick with that. But the pace, which you come back to, they are leading the league in pace. The Warriors, they closed their long roadie with a 97 pace in New Orleans, trying to slow it down, and so that was an under. Then they come back home and go right back up to 102 versus Sacramento. And I mentioned that Sac had plenty of opportunities to get their buckets. I think they still went over, or they went to 229 in that game, right? The last game, pretty close. But I think that the Cavs have a lot more versatility on offense than the Kings did.
Yeah, and the similarity too will be the fact that the Dubs can't stop the point guard position, as we say. I mean, Klay Thompson's defensive rating is pretty good for this team. It's close to 110, 109 and a half or so. So not awful as an individual defensive rating, but De'Aaron Fox got his over as we liked in that game. And I think we feel good about Spida doing the same thing tonight. So that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Like and subscribe to that page. Check out the other game we have, that other West Coast game, where the Kings, the surging Kings, are taking on the Lake Show. Obviously, we like the Kings right now because we would not pick the Lakers with your money, as we say. Make sure to check that out. And we got some player props up for you tonight. So until we see you next, happy betting.